Good morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the night, whenever you beautiful lifers are listening to this.
It made me think of the Truman Show. Good afternoon, or good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Yeah.
Oh my
Welcome.
gosh, that was the passive, like, I'm just commenting to not be rude, but I really just want to get past her talking.
Well, I didn't want to criticize that you said it wrong. And so I was just going to let it go. I was going to let you float in bliss in your beautiful little world. But before we get too deep into that, welcome everyone to the Life Unfiltered podcast show. This is going to be an episode you won't want to miss. So don't stop listening just because of this opening preamble. I'm Justin Deweese. That's my unbelievably beautiful and salty wife, Ashley Deweese.
I take that
And
as
we're
a
here.
compliment. Thank you.
We're here to bring you a little bit of Life Unfiltered.
Yeah, you know.
It's our unfiltered views, takes, opinions on, quite honestly, an entire cornucopia of things. You never know what's going to happen.
Well, and let me just put a little asterisk here because in all fashions of being authentic and unfiltered and truthful, we're not completely unfiltered. Like what would you say, 95% unfiltered? And the only reason I say that is we do take caution in the fact that, we want to be respectful of our children. We want to be respectful of, younger listeners and whatnot. And while sometimes we just let everything fly, we do try to like not be complete
So we're going to rebrand the show to
inappropriate people.
the Life Unfiltered, but sometimes discretionary
Yeah,
podcast.
I like that. I mean,
How
it's true.
about that?
I mean, we're just trying to not be complete animals throughout this.
No, animal time comes later.
Oh, I swear to goodness, if you ever do that during that time, like if you go, "Rawr,"
Well, guess what's happening now? You basically just asked me to do it. So
something like that, something like that. How are you feeling this week? I know this isn't necessarily the premise of today's episode, but since we have been talking about our new regiment, our next level regiment that we're doing health wise, just thought maybe we could do like a quick catch up on
sure,
how you're feeling, how that's going for you.
I'm feeling amazing. It's going really well. Um, and a lot of that feeling comes from having the water shackles taken off of me.
The water shackles.
Well,
Yeah, you took them
listen,
off you and put them on me.
yep. Well, that's why we
It is, right?
balance each other out, my love. Because for the first 2 days of our 16-day cleanse, you basically didn't drink any water.
Right.
Drink minimally is what it said. And then for days 3 through 16, we got 2 liters of water a day, which is nothing to me. And so now we're to 3 to 4 liters a day. And it's like, oh, finally back in my happy place.
Such a pain in the ass, like drinking water. It's
No,
just one
it's
of those
not.
annoying things. I just don't even think to do it. Like, I don't need it. I mean, and I don't, let me just say, like, straight water. Like, I obviously consume liquids throughout the
Yeah,
day.
she does.
But like just to pick up my water bottle, which I would just like to make note, a couple episodes ago we shared with you I got that new water bottle. I've actually had it on the last couple of episodes for those of you that actually view this on YouTube or Spotify where you can see the video of it. If you didn't know that, now you do. So if you're listening on another platform, I'm so glad you're listening. I'm just saying you might be missing out a little bit because I don't know. I just feel like
There are some visual details.
there are visual details. We are a visual couple. So, anyways, I don't have it with me today, but I wanted to say that I have been using that water bottle every day and I have been much more apt to pick it up and drink it. I don't know what it is. If it's the color, if it's the fact that keeps it super cold, if it's the little spout on top of it. I don't know. I really don't care, but I just want to let you know that it is actually seeming to work better
No, listen,
than the ones in the past.
I've been meaning to recognize you because this is by far the longest that you've actually used
Used.
that new water bottle. If I get this water bottle, I'm going to be drinking more water. Like, look at this thing.
It probably
And
is
you're
true.
and you're doing it this time
I am.
so
I'm a
far. I'm
changed
impressed.
changed woman. It's next level, baby.
Oh. Oh, we may have to pause the podcast and get spicy. Say things like that to me.
Oh my gosh. So you're feeling good, like aside from the water, which is kind of a little
Don't
thing.
don't you denigrate my water.
Guys, can we stop talking about water, please? It's just water. It's just water. There's like a little song out there that's how it goes. Anyways, how are you feeling in general? Like it's going well.
Yeah, I feel good. I'm digging the workouts. I'm digging some of this food we're getting to eat. The new morning snack of rice, cream, maple syrup, and raisins
It's
is
really good.
when I first read it on a sheet, I'm like, nah, I'm not so sure about this, but it is quite the tasty little treat.
You just added the secret because I've yet to share that little snacky do with my clients. And now they're going to be like, hello, you've been holding out on us.
Yep. That's
So
how it goes sometimes. You got,
I know.
again, unfiltered but discretionary.
Right. You are not discretionary there. Anyways, that's great. Would you like to know how I'm feeling?
I was fixing to ask before you got all selfish with it. Hey, Ash, how are you feeling through all this?
I'm feeling good. We have done a lot of things over the years. Oh, I shouldn't say a lot. Well, we've done a lot of things over our lifetime.
Word.
Obviously, over the last 9 years, we've pretty much done the same thing. And we're still doing the same thing to a certain extent. But my point is with this, it's just it's a level up. So it's something new, even though there's a lot of the same elements and fundamentals that we have lived by and do live by. It's just a new endeavor. And so yeah, that's really fun. And um, I'm feeling really good and I'm just excited for where things will continue to go. I think that my mind's in a really good place. It's definitely great like doing it with you.
Yeah,
Accountability
it
is
is.
accountability is so key in anything you want to pursue and accomplish in life. I think it's one of the most underrated factors in working toward goals or life desires is just having at least one other person who is either in it with you or maybe they're not in it with you, but they understand it and they're there to push you and hold you accountable. So that's been
Right.
really, really helpful. But yeah, I think my mind's just in a really good place. I'm feeling stronger. I was flexing for you before.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, so I'm loving it. I'm excited to see where it goes. We're not really even that far into the adventure, but it's cool right now.
Right. This is just the first part of space.
I know.
We're not even in outer space yet.
Oh my gosh. So, I thought maybe today we could talk a little bit about um just the idea of I know I said perfection earlier, but I think really what more so like just the idea of like personal expectations we can have for ourselves and how that can lead to a desire for perfection in the things that we pursue, goals that we have, etc. And then how just where those things stem from and how fear can play a factor and, just all of that jazz. And I bring that up not just, because we're doing this next level thing for our health, but, I have been uh, an entrepreneur for 9 years. It was actually, just a few
Correct.
couple weeks ago. 9 years, which is a really long time, and honestly, I don't really talk a lot about that part of the journey, right? I obviously talk about, like, what I do, as a life and performance coach and clients and how I help them, but I don't really tell much of the story of building my own businesses. My own businesses, what that's been like. Maybe we can talk about that in a different episode. But, anyways, in doing that, we actually both have some new things on the horizon. And,
Yep.
anytime you step into something new, even if it's like a new branch of something that you're already doing, I personally, I don't know about you, but I want it to be amazing.
Well, of course. Of course. I do too.
Like I want it to be amazing. I want my bestest stuff, my bestest self to be forward facing. And what I have found over time is that kind of expectation is not a bad thing, but it can paralyze you in the process.
Right, because it seems so daunting, right? Because I think that no matter what, there's that part of your brain that's like, you're not going to get this perfect.
Yeah.
Like you can't deliver at that level, right? And so then the other part of your brain's like, oh crap, you're probably right. So I need to research a little bit of this more, or oh, there's another shiny object that I should add to my toolkit because that will help me get to that level of amazing that I want to put forward, so to speak.
Well, it's feelings at times of like doubt, and again, it comes in the newness, right? Like it's something that you haven't necessarily done before or done in this particular way. And so anytime I embark upon something new in that regard, it's hard to be a beginner or it's hard to be like a rookie at something
Right.
because everybody wants to step out onto the field or onto the court and, like I said, like be amazing, be the best at it. And the reality is, um, that's not the case for anyone and anything. But somehow we can understand that that's not the case for other people.
Right.
But when it's for yourself, um, you put yourself on this little island, and it's like, oh, but I could step out and be perfect. So let me spend all this time preparing and, like you said, doing this and doing that and whatever. And so it becomes paralyzing in the fact that you can do like a lot of collection of knowledge and skill growing, etc. And then you don't have anything to flip and show for it.
Right. Well, I think that it's we delude ourselves, right? And every guy listening to this will relate, even maybe just in his own head. But we like to tell ourselves that, oh, I mean, I can just show up and do that thing amazing the first time, like, because I've got those skills, right?
Or good
We,
enough.
right. We like to forget that your first anything is going to suck,
Hmm.
right? Like, this is episode 17, 18, somewhere in there. Like, we've gotten better at this than we were on episode one. And come episode 50, we're going to look back at this episode and be like, good Lord, those clowns.
Well, like I was, thank goodness for Facebook memories, right? But like I had videos pop up from 9 years ago or so recently, and it was like I was like, oh my gosh. But like I'm so thankful for them. Like on one hand, I'm like, oh my gosh, that was awful. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I'm so proud of her that she just went for it. Because had I 9 years ago, not pushed play on that first, we didn't have Facebook Lives at that point. I was recording videos and then posting them for others to share. But had I not ever done that and continued to do that, then my skill set and my abilities and my businesses and all sorts of things would not be where they are right now had
Right.
I not been willing to get uncomfortable and just push play to go with what I got, right? To go with what I had at the time. I think whatever the phrase is, like go with what you got.
Well, and I think a lot of that it's hardwired into our brain, that desire to avoid the discomfort, to stay within the norms, so to speak, because way back thousands of years ago when we were all living in huts and hunting every day and gathering and whatnot, if you did something different, the people inside your little tribe might be like, you got to get out of here. You're a witch. You're a charlatan. You're whatever. Right. And humanity lived like that for a long time. And so there's a part of our brain that's hardwired to not do things that are uncomfortable, not do things that are different because it's going to get us kicked out of the tribe.
Yeah.
And the reality is, there's not many things today that present that level of danger, right? Maybe you lose a couple friends or whatever, but that fear is all in your brain.
Well, it's a fear of being judged by others, a fear of being isolated, which let me just share this nug. It may not
Oh
be
boy,
it's not the big nug for today. Go
it
with what
might
you
be.
got. Go with what you got is probably a really good big nug. But um, if you are someone driven to pursue better in your life, you know, a better version of you, a better career, a better life, a better relationship, in any sort of endeavor where you are going to pursue better and pursue more for yourself, it's going to be lonely for a period of time. It's not going to be lonely forever, but like that is part of the process. And I just want to say that because I believe that is one of the fears, in and working with my female clients, whether it be they're pursuing better for themselves health wise, or in the past having mentored women getting started in their own businesses and whatnot, like there is a fear of being alone in that journey and
Sure.
losing people around you. And what I'm trying to say here is that the status quo is not pursuing more. The status quo is not going on a journey of growth and betterment. And so if you're swimming in a different direction, there's going to be a period where you are on your own, but it's only going to be temporary. I actually was telling one of my clients this in my women's community a couple weeks ago, because she was in this very place of feeling like her current social circle, some of them didn't know about the growth journey that she's on. Some of them knew, but are kind of weird about it. And she was like, my fear is, though, if I step out of that circle or even just kind of pull back somewhat from that circle, then what social circle do I have, or what friends do I have? And what I was talking to her about, I was like, this is normal and this is part of the process, because when you are looking to pursue more for yourself, there's going to be a period of time where it's going to just be you, or it's
Right.
going to be you and very few people, until you get enough momentum in what you're doing and you're further along in the journey that you actually find that new tribe of people to move into. But it's not like you go from one grouping to another grouping. Like there's a period of time where it is going to feel lonely and it's going to feel like you're the only one, but that's like just part of it. So I just wanted to like interject that it's totally normal, but it's a fear people have is, what if I make these decisions that are in my best interest, or that are, you know, following what's in my heart, and people out there don't like it and they perceive it in a way that feels like rejecting to me. And then that can paralyze people from taking any sort of action, or paralyze them to the extent, well, if I just do enough behind the scenes work first, then once I actually do take the action, I will get it perfect and right.
Right.
And what ends up happening is you just, again, stay in that cycle of, I'm not there yet. I'm not there yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not there yet. And then nothing ever gets put out there. So I was thinking the other day, because I'm getting ready to launch a new um, arm, I guess would be the way to say it, a new arm
Sure.
of my current
Portfolio.
ecosystem portfolio. And I'm super excited about it. But I've been sitting on this idea for, gosh, let's say 2 months.
I was going to say a couple months.
Yeah. So the idea probably came out a couple months ago, and I was super stoked about it at that point, and it just really seemed to make sense, and who I am and how I want to serve people. And then with what is in my existing portfolio with my women's community and my nutrition program, my nutrition and fitness health program, it just made sense. And so I was really excited about it. But then I was to the step of like, okay, well, now what do I need to do to like get this going? And so I sat on that for a little bit. And then I finally figured out, okay, this is how I want to do it. Here's the tools that I'm going to use for it. And now I just needed to like create. And I have been paralyzed. And part of that paralysis has just been like, what's the right what's the right way to start this? What should this be like? I'm trying not to give too much away right now. Um, what should this be like? What should the first thing? What should I do for the first thing? Does it need to be this? Does it need to be that? And I read something in one of the books I'm reading, and I can't even tell you exactly what I read.
Oh dear.
But I read something to the extent of, I mean, it was really kind of the idea of if not now, when? And that idea of, is it really living if you're putting off the things that you want to the future? And I don't know, like the way it was said in particular, it just kind of struck me of like, why am I doing this? And I know better, right? I know better.
Right.
Like I'm a flipping coach. I help women with this. I've helped myself with it before, which again, human. But I was like, that's right. Like what do I need to be doing right now to feel the way that I want to feel and live the way that I want to feel? And so I went on a walk yesterday, and while I was walking, I was just like, I'm just going to do this right now. And I did it. And you're probably going, you were walking. If you're trying to put the puzzle pieces together, just save yourself
Just
some pain.
stop.
But I went on a walk and I was like, I'm just going to do this. And so I did it. And I did it one time. And that one time is what will be the launching component of this new thing that I'm launching. And I was like, wow, it took me this long just to do that. But I decided like I honestly I said to myself, I'm just gonna be me. Like I'm just gonna be me. I'm just gonna do my thing.
Because that's amazing to do.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. Yeah, I am.
Yeah,
I
I
am.
know.
And
I told you.
but I said that to myself that day. I'm like, I'm just gonna be me and I'm just gonna say whatever I want to say. And I did. And afterwards I was like, wow, that was really, really great. Like I don't even need to do anything to that. I don't even need to like that's what it's gonna be. Because don't you ever find that like when you're thinking too much about such things, you end up producing total shit.
Oh yeah. Well, because again, if you think too much about it, then invariably that thinking goes to like, well, what will Aunt Susie say about it? What will Timothy down the road say about it? You start taking all these other people's opinions into consideration, which you don't stand a chance of like actually making all those people happy with
Right.
whatever it is, right? But again, you get that thinking and you start going that direction, and then you become paralyzed because well, that is literally never going to be anything perfect. Could like Henry Ford said, if I gave the people what they wanted, I'd give them a faster horse
Mm-hmm.
because that's what they thought they wanted. But he knew the automobile was the way to go, right? And this what you were saying about other people judging, right? And kind of ties in with what I was just saying about worrying about what everybody's opinion is going to be. And this is part of where I struggle is thinking about what other people are going to be thinking about what I want to be doing. Because to your earlier point, I've got something coming out here soon as well. And the reality is, like, the people are going to judge and think what they're going to judge and think,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of what you do or don't do, right? Even if you don't do the thing, they're going to be like, "Oh, I can't believe that she's only doing this one," or he's not taking care of this or whatever, right? That no matter what direction you go in, the people have their thoughts and their judgments and comments and whatever, and ultimately none of it matters. You've got to do what is going to move the needle forward in your life.
Well, and from a business angle, I know for myself, a trap that I can get caught into is, for me, having been pursuing, my own business venture for the last 9 years, the idea of like, are other people going to approve of this or not really isn't like that much of a factor for me. But more so, what I get tripped up on at times is when I am creating new products. I want to get it right in the fact that I want to create a product that is needed
Sure.
by my target audience. I want to create a product that's going to be a solution for my target audience. And so there for me lies a problem at times because I end up thinking too much about whether other people are going to like this product idea that I have and if it's going to work for them, and is my take on it going to be like too much, meaning like too much as far as like, I tend to be very direct and straightforward and unfiltered and whatnot. Is that, are they going to like that style? Is this what they need? Is that what they, and the problem with that, I mean, and it makes sense, right? Because as a business owner, like obviously you want to create a profitable business, of course. So you do need to take into account like what your target audience needs and the
Right.
solutions that they need. At the same time, though, this is my business. And so if I'm not creating things that are true to who I am, if I'm not creating things that are true to my own personal experience and expertise and passions, then it also doesn't matter if I create something that's perfect for these outsiders, because if it's not coming straight from my heart,
Right.
then I'm going to get into something that I'm going to freaking hate anyways. And
Right.
so it's like, why would you create something that is more for someone else as opposed to more of what you believe in and is true to your experiences and your heart and your passion? Because then you're going to hate it. And what I've come to find, and how many times do you have to learn the same lesson? I don't know how many times.
And there's no answer.
But I've learned this lesson. Obviously, I haven't completely learned it because I still get hung up on it, but I've been through this experience multiple times where I do this, him hawing around. And then I get so sick and tired of myself in effing around that I finally just pull the trigger and unfiltered and messy and all the things. And guess what? Those are the situations, those are the experiences, those are the products that my people love the most.
Yep.
But it's that and this is why we have to, this is why the growth journey is ongoing. And this is why you do have to keep going over the same fundamental thoughts and perspectives, et cetera, over and over and over again. Because no matter what you do, there's still at every level, at every new thing, there will be a time where you feel like an imposter again, where you have some self doubt, no matter what you have
Right.
accomplished before it. And you can talk to any successful person. You can talk to people far more successful, um, you know, than what we have achieved success wise. And first of all, success is your own personal definition of that, but you know what I'm saying. And they will all tell you the same thing. They are not at a place, even though they have a list of accomplishments, they're just not at a place where they don't ever feel like an imposter, where they don't ever experience some self doubt. Like it's just normal and part of the process. But the more we can bring ourselves back to a place of what's in our heart, what we believe in, what we know to be true, and go with that, the better off you're always going to be. Because even if I launch something, even if you and this upcoming thing that you're about to launch, even if there's one person on the other side of it or no person on the other side of it, it still was a creation that you believed in that
Right.
made sense to you. And maybe that means you got to go back and do some revisions or tweaks or whatever, but it doesn't mean anything about you. And again, you're far better off in just pulling the trigger and going for it and going with your heart and what you know than you are to just never step into that action in the first place.
Well, that's what I I came across a tweet earlier today. The guy said, um, "What you are being is greater than what you are doing."
Mm.
Right? And
Explain.
so in this situation, that product or whatever, that's the thing that you did, right? And it is what it is. And like you said, maybe nobody shows up. Maybe there's zero people that want that particular product or offering. But if you are being the kind of
Yeah.
person that puts their value out there, then you've done it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's where that's another hurdle that people can run into, and I certainly run into, right? Because when you meet someone new as an adult, like what's one of the first questions you ask? Well, what do you do
What
for
do
a
you
living?
do?
Well, I'm an accountant or
Which
whatever.
really, and not to, I mean, I'm interrupting you, but it just made me think. That is the typical question that we ask is, well, what do you do? Actually, I
Right.
don't ask that question, but a lot of people do. Well, what do you do for a living? And it's like, I don't honestly give a shit what you do. Isn't it more important? Like, what kind of person are you?
Right. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
What you are being is greater than what you are doing.
Who you were being.
Well, whatever. Who, what, how, when, where, why.
Right. Right.
Man, we might have had two big nugs on this one.
We might have. Well, and yeah, it's like, my clients and I talk about like it's great to have goals. We need to have goals. We need to have things that we're in pursuit of. But really, the goal in and of itself, it's not the prize. It's who you become along
Right.
the way of pursuing that goal and ultimately accomplishing that goal or not accomplishing that goal. I mean, that's something else that can paralyze people is a fear of failure. Which firstly, let me just say that you define what failure means. You don't have to accept what you've adopted as society's definition of failure. Like, what does failure mean to you? Because a lot of people like, oh, if I try something and I don't get it right, if I try something and I don't accomplish the goal, then I've failed.
Right.
Right. And it's like, yes, but like, what does that mean? And a lot of people equate failing at a goal or an endeavor as though you're a terrible person. You don't have the skill set to do that. You never should have tried in the first place, yada, yada, yada. And what you and I both have come to understand is that, like, I say this to my clients, like, first of all, you only truly fail when you quit,
Right.
when you stop the pursuit. Um, Having an expectation that you're going to get it right on the first time is just setting yourself up for a lack of success. Understanding that failure is part of the process, understanding that it's going to take several iterations of whatever it is you're doing to ultimately get it to a place of understanding, to ultimately perfect it, to ultimately, have it become something that you excel at. Like it's going to take several cycles in order for that to occur. So you should expect for it to not go right. You should expect to quote unquote fail at it. That's where you learn the stuff that you need to know in order to make it better, in order to be better. Right. And so
Right.
that's why it's like the magic is in the becoming, the magic is in the journey itself and all the things that you're learning. This works, this doesn't work. It's kind of like when you have kids, right? That when you have the first kid, like you don't know what the hell you're doing. And then when you have the second kid, you've already been through. It's not like you have a second kid because you failed with the first one. I mean, that might be
Right.
some people's philosophy, but that's not how it worked for us. But like you have another kid because you desire that outcome. But this time you will have learned some things from the first go around that you now can apply or apply differently in the second go around. And it's not because you failed the first time. You're just constantly wanting to become
Right.
better and be better and that's what happens in the journey. So
You
the
learn and
magic is
adapt.
in the process.
Right.
um but that fear, it's analysis paralysis, right? And what do you like to say to me? Done is better than perfect.
Yep. Done is better than perfect. Send it.
Send it. Find out that your idea is total shit, right? Not because that's what other people say, but because you're like, oh wow, that's not what I intended that to be at all. Like, you're not going to know until
Right.
you pull the trigger.
Learn, adapt, and iterate.
And you might just surprise yourself in what you have. People are like, oh my gosh, that's flipping amazing. And then you're kicking yourself in the ass because you took freaking too much, like this thing that I could be kicking myself in the ass in another month and be like, oh my gosh, what if I had launched this 2 months ago as opposed to dragging it out?
Right. And you probably will be.
Probably. We'll
And that's
see.
okay.
And
And
that's
maybe
okay.
you'll learn for the next time.
And same for you. Like, I just want to say, like, obviously I mentioned I'm getting ready to launch a new arm, so be on the lookout. And it's actually not just for women. Obviously I'm a women's coach and work with predominantly women, but this next thing I'm launching actually would
For
fit
everybody.
for everybody. Everybody.
Nope. Stop. Stop right now.
But you are getting ready to launch something. I don't expect you to give details or whatever right now, but you are getting ready to launch something very, very soon. This month. Yes, the month of May.
Yeah. For men,
Uh
May
for
27th.
for men, May 27th. And I believe you're going to be getting ready to talk about that and release more info super soon.
Really soon.
And I just
Yes.
want to tell you, I hope the tears are already welling, but I just want to tell you how proud I am of you because I don't think that men get enough I don't know, it's not talked about as much that, a lot of the same kind of fears and hangups and self-doubt and whatever that I feel like it's obvious that women have. Um, I just don't think it's that talked about that men have these same things too. And just obviously in being your wife, I have a upfront seat to your growth and your pursuits. And I know this is a big deal. And so I just want to tell you, like, I'm really, really proud of you because it's not easy to create something from your heart and to put it out there. And I know that you, like you said, you like had your own analysis paralysis over the
Yep.
years with things. So I just want to publicly say that I'm super, super proud of you and I'm really, really stoked for you. And I'm just excited for the rest of the world to come to know what I know about you, that you're really freaking awesome and you're an amazing coach and mentor.
Well, thanks, love. I appreciate that. I do.
You're welcome.
And hopefully, no doubt, it will eventually be all of that, but it's probably going to suck at the start.
Yep. And
I
that's
just got
okay.
to do it anyway.
You got to do it anyway. So
And that puts a tidy little bow on this episode. We dropped some big nugs out there for
we
you,
did
gang.
not just one big nug today, but
No,
there's a couple big
you gotta
nugs.
you gotta go with what you got. You gotta realize that who you're being is more important than what you are doing, and that the magic is in the process.
Yep. Magic's in the journey, baby. Where it's at.
Like Robert Frost said. I don't know what the rest he said. I just know he said a poem about journeying, and I don't know. There's like a woods and two
Take the
paths
road
or
less
something.
traveled,
Yeah, sure. Why not?
right?
Yeah.
Anyways, on that note, we'll see you next week.
Like, comment, share. Ah, I ain't got much else to say. Hope you all have a great whatever you got in front of you.